If everybody could grab a seat, that would be wonderful. For all you seatless people in the back, if you could find a seat, that would be great. Okay, I need to get started because Ron's told me if I go over 5 minutes, I'm out of here. So
I didn't say that. Don't listen to him.
no, he's given me 5 minutes before he begins his class, so I can mention a few more things about compassion cards, which we talked about in last week's class. So last week, remember, we had the video, and it lasted until the end of class, and we had no time for questions. So I just want to take a couple of minutes and ask, are there any questions about compassion cards, about what we're trying to do with them? Okay, there may be after we show a couple of slides here. So I want to show the list of names for each of the 4 different compassion card groups. And so here's group 1, and that one, we'll talk about timing in a minute. Look and see if you see your name up there. Okay, just look for a few seconds. Do you see your name? Nope. Okay, how about slide 2? Here's group 2. Take a look and look for your name, or take a minute and look for your name. Your name should be on one of these cards. If it isn't, then I'm in trouble, and you let me know. It's because we'll put you in a group. Okay, thank you, Randy. There you are. Okay. There's group 3. Look and see if your name's there. Okay. And then here's group 4. Hopefully it's big enough where you can find your name. Okay, so this list, not in this format, but there's a list of these groups, these compassion card groups. It's on the bulletin board right next to the bathroom back here. So, it looks like that, and it's back there on the bulletin board. Also, Jennifer sent this list out. It looks like this with the email that she sent out this week that contained the bulletin and other information. So it's back there. We've got it up here. You got it in email. You should know what group you're in, is what I'm saying. So if you don't know what group you're in, come see me, and we'll make sure that your name is somewhere. And if it's not, we'll make sure your name is somewhere. So. Also, please, Randy, if you could go back to the beginning slide and go through those about every 5 seconds. If you're in this group, make sure you know who your leader and coordinator are. And likewise in group 2, group 3, and group 4, whatever group you're in, make sure you know who the group leader is and the group coordinator are. Because these people will be contacting you. They'll be talking with you about the day, the time, and the location that your group will be meeting to sign compassion cards. So expect communication from your group leader or your group coordinator. Okay. Thank you, Brother Randy. I appreciate it. All right. Now, are there any questions about compassion cards? All right, well, as we get this effort going, I just want to make sure that you know that we need your help. The compassion card effort to bring the lost through our doors will not be successful without you. And we thank you for your time and your willingness to be a part of this effort. So thank you very much. Do you want me to pass anything out?
Nick. Set this to the side. Okay, good morning. Nick will be handing out, and Randy, if you want to, can you go ahead and put this on the, there we go. I know a number of you have not received this yet, and just like Chris said this morning, she's getting tons of these in her Bible, and they're stacking up, and you're going to have to set them out. You're going to be getting a lot of these, I think, in the next few weeks. But basically, we're going to go through this in just a little bit. But I wanted to start out by saying that you are looking at the guy that is in charge of visitors. I am the leader for the visitors spot in this School of Evangelism. My job is to ensure that several families here are trained to greet visitors, sit with them, and provide a visitor bag to obtain contact information, and always extend a meal invitation. That will be kind of my focus, and what the plan is. I'll be working with a few of you by setting up a visitation teams, and that, what I mean by that is not necessarily to go visit them at their homes or anything, but to visit them here when they show up. And so we'll be training a few families or couples in that, and I would say probably 3 to 4 couples probably is what we need right now as our congregation probably grows, and we hope that's the case in the near future. I was telling Bill and a few other guys, I said, you know, looking at this, as we get going, this thing can turn into a well-oiled machine if we do this right and everybody participates. So hang on, because if this thing takes off, we're going to have a lot of visitors, and I think we'll see some big changes here, and we will grow in numbers. So keep that in mind. All right. So I will be reaching out to a few of you. I know that a few weeks back when we handed out the flyer or the paper to fill out areas of interest, a number of you did fill out in the visitor spot where you'd like to help out as we greet people and bring them in. And also a number filled out for visitor bags. This is going to be part of it, handing out visitor bags to visitors that come here. And I think I had 24 sign up for visitor bags. Probably don't need that many to do visitor bags, but we will need a few. And there'll be some work involved in that, not a ton, but just to make sure that we keep them full and up to date and whatnot, and being able to get those to people as they come. So I don't have, other than just this, my lesson today did not have any PDFs or what is it, slides, is that what you call it, or any of that good stuff? I don't understand all the computer lingo. I know plumbing, I've said that before, so not computer. And I barely know that. If you would, turn to James chapter 2, and we're going to start off with that. I got a small lesson today with this, and we're going to read verses 1 through 4. James chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. My brethren, do not hold the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with partiality. For if there should come into your assembly a man with gold rings, fine apparel, and there should also come in a poor man in filthy clothes, and you pay attention to the one wearing the fine clothes and say to him, you sit here in a good place, and say to the poor man, you stand there or sit here at my footstool, have you not shown partiality among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? So we see, reading this, that we should not determine who is worthy to receive the message of the gospel. You know, we don't want to show partiality. Jesus didn't do that. He did not do that. We need to share with everyone. And God will open the hearts of those who are willing to receive it. Again, you know, we plant the seed, God creates the growth. We must understand the area of gathering contacts. Many have visited and not returned. And so we must ask ourselves, and we've seen this happen, we must ask ourselves, why is that? Why do people come, but then they don't come back? And we ask why. Now let's look at it from our perspective for just a moment. I mean, we've all been visitors at different congregations, right? We've all visited, been out of town, or whatever it may be. Matter of fact, we've got a number of new families here. We've had a lot come in the last year. And so the question to you is, let's just start there for just a moment, and all of us. What persuaded us to return? Why did we not return to visit others, other congregations? Do we care whether sound doctrine is taught? Do we care if there are many ministries unconnected to the mission of the church? Do we care that people are nice or that the building is new? You know, there have been times that I have visited different congregations. You know, we do a lot of traveling back to Tennessee and different parts of the country we've been around. And for us personally, you know, there have been congregations we've walked into where if you have a cold feeling, you can feel it. And so are they friendly when you walk in? And sometimes no, they're just not. We don't want to be like that. We don't want to be like that. I remember there was time that, well, just recently, as a matter of fact, 2 months ago, we were in Nashville, and we stopped and visited a congregation, and they were the friendliest congregation. And matter of fact, my daughter, she's actually gone back just because when she's in Nashville, just because they were so friendly. Gave out gift bags like we've been talking about here a little bit. And so it's always nice to go somewhere where they're warm and inviting. So, and this is open for comments too. I mean, I know we have new couples here and families that if you'd like to jump in and say, hey, we came here because of this. Terry.
I went to a church in Southport, it was the coldest church I ever been to. Not one person said hi or anything to us, and we'll never go back there again. So it's very important to make the visitors feel at home,
Yeah.
and at least say something to them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what we're going to talk about, we're going to, real quick, let's go to Genesis chapter 19, if you would open your Bibles to that. And we're going to do a quick little lesson here on Lot. And Lot, we know the story in 19, it was just before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. But Lot was a very hospitable guy. He had concern, and he showed a lot of care for people. So let's go to 19, and we're going to read, let me get to there myself, 1 through 3 right now, and we'll discuss this just a little bit, and we'll move on. Genesis 19, 1 through 3. Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he arose to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. And he said, Now, behold, my lords, please turn aside into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way. They said, however, No, but we shall spend the night in the square. Yet he urged them strongly. So they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he prepared a feast for them. And he baked unleavened bread, and they ate. So we see that Lot was respected as he sat at the gates with the wise men of the town. What did he do? He immediately invited visitors to come to his house. When we have visitors here, do we invite them for a meal? Do we invite them to go out to a restaurant after services? We see that Lot opened his home, made the visitors comfortable, and fed them. Opening our homes will open hearts. When you stop and you think about it, when you have a meal together, you can build some relationships around a meal. You really, truly can. You really, for some reason, I don't know what it is about it, but you really can. Maybe it's because you have to sit there face to face and face each other and talk. Do not sit at the table and text on the cell phone. How many times you go to a restaurant and you see kids and families out and they're all on their phones? It's like, wow, there's no communication anymore. It's gone. Yep. So Lot opened his home, made the visitors comfortable, and he fed them. We can invite visitors to lunch and make great strides in showing our concern and hospitality. We really can. Do we have the hospitality of Lot? That's the question. As we continue in verse 4 through 7, I'm going to keep reading this. Not only Lot had hospitality, but he had concern for them. Let's start in verse 4 here. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house, both young and old, all the people from every quarter. And they called to Lot and said to him, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out, that we may have relations with them. But Lot went out to them at the doorway and shut the door behind him. And he said, please, my brothers, do not act wickedly. So we see that Lot had concern for the welfare of his visitors here. He knew that the villagers wanted to do him harm. And so he stood in the doorway there between the villagers and the visitors. He wanted to protect them as well. Are you willing to stand up for someone you don't know and show them concern and care? Are you willing to help someone, a stranger or a visitor, because of a physical ailment or anything, that because you have concern for them? Are you willing to do that? That's something we have to ask ourselves when we have visitors. Lot had respect. Lot showed respect to the visitors by referring to them, if you look at in verse 2, as Lord. It's a lowercase l. If you look at that closely, it's not a capital L, it's a lowercase l. That term was used here for a master or someone who has authority. It'd be like us today using sir or ma'am or Mrs. or Miss or Mr. when talking to them. By addressing them as lords, he showed them respect. He showed respect to the strangers. Another sign of respect, that Lot listened to them. He could flee with his life because he heeded the warning that the town was about to be destroyed. We see that in verse 14 and on. The question to you guys and to all of us, do we flippantly joke with visitors? Or on the opposite end, do we address them in terms of respect? Do we make fun of the place they are from by downplaying their local college team? Or by making fun of the people in their state? You know what's funny is Mitch came to my mind. Honestly, it did. But it's not because, let me explain this. And when I read this, I thought of you, and here's why. Because when Mitch first came here, he and Lisa showed up. He was in a Nebraska Cornhuskers jacket, or a shirt or something.
Probably a shirt, 'cause
Yeah, a shirt.
I didn't wear the jacket until after we beat college.
So I said, that's pretty good. That's all right. I'm not a Colorado fan. I'm not a Dion fan, I guess. So, but anyway, so Mitch came, and I shook his hand. I said, Mitch, how are you? Nice to meet you. I said, you living here now in Colorado? And Mitch says, yeah, we've been here, I think, a few months, and you were living in Loveland. You're living in Loveland. And I said, well, you're wearing that shirt. We might have to convert you and make you a Colorado fan in Colorado. And he goes, nope, that's not going to happen. I said, well, I don't blame you. So, but when Tracy was here as well, Tracy had his Kansas City Chiefs hat or something on. I said, man, that's not good. Okay. So now, obviously, it isn't fun. I mean, people who know me, I like to joke, and I can take it too. We can all do that. But we do have to be careful. We have to be really, really careful. One thing that sticks in my mind, the experiences that I've had, is when we do travel, we go to, and it hasn't been so much as lately, but it all happened a few years back. when we would show up to a congregation, they said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, we're from Colorado." "Oh, Colorado, huh? The wacky tobacco state," is what they would say. You got that stuff on you and you brought that with? No, I didn't. I left that at home. No, but that's what they would say, and they equated us with marijuana. It's sad that happens. So we do have to be careful on what we do and say to people as they come in. Because some people would be offended. I don't get offended by that because I can joke with the best of them. If you've known me well, for a few years, I'm that kind of guy. But anyway, any comments so far?
Humor is a good one to break the ice, but again, like you said, you gotta be careful
Yeah.
where you're at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, humor is a good way to break the ice. And some people, they just don't like that. I think the best thing to do is just be careful in the beginning with visitors, maybe not go that route. And I've been guilty of that myself. And maybe it's because, that's just how I am, and it's something I have to learn to break. So if I offended you, I apologize. So no? Okay. But it is funny how everybody kind of patted you on the back there when that all came up. So okay. We need to remember the words of Christ when dealing with visitors. Matthew 7:12 says, "Therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets." He puts in here what not to do to visitors. Avoid the welcome wagon. Shake their hands, but let the visitation team do their work. The visitation team will be the stuff that the teams that I'll be working with and setting up. I have a few people in mind here. Some of you did sign up, but I think in my opinion, I think we have some couples in here that would be very good with that. And so I'll probably be contacting you sooner than later to be setting up a time. And, if you tell me no, you tell me no. I'm going to make you do it anyway. No, I won't do that. But I think there are some couples in here that would be really, really good at visiting with people here, so with visitors. So avoid the welcome wagon. Shake their hands, but let the visitation team do their work. Shake hands between class and service or afterwards if possible. Now, this is for everybody, not just the visitation team. So just keep this in mind. The visitation team, we're more specialized in working on, and you'll see that here as we go a little bit further into this, but everybody be friendly. We want everybody friendly, and everybody shake their hands. But do not interrogate. Do not interrogate and do not hover. I think that's very important. What not to say to visitors. Ephesians 4:29 says this, "Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers." Do not criticize, put down, or make fun, even in a lightly way. Do not do it. Do not put down or criticize or make fun of fellow members, the sermon, the preacher. Well, that's up for debate. Do not make fun of the preacher or another congregation. Never do that. You don't know where they're coming from. I've been at places where that's happened. Well, the congregation over here, they blah, blah, blah. And they don't do this or they do that or whatever. Don't do that. Even if it's true in your mind, don't do it. Do not debate. Avoid areas of disagreement, including doctrines such as politics and sports. We had this sports issue here. Sorry, Mitch. And then when I saw this, I thought, I never really gave any thought to this. So, but we didn't debate. Honestly, we didn't. We just had a fun laugh about it. So, what's that?
I'm more ready to have everybody come over to the breakfast, right?
Did you guys hear that? Ben says, oh yeah, I heard it. Yeah, so do not debate areas of disagreement. It's not the time. What did Rob, do you guys remember what he said? Do you guys remember what he said? Defer. Defer. Especially when it's doctrine. Well, all of it, but a lot of times people will bring up doctrine. Just defer on that. Push it off. We'll get to that later. We'll talk about that later. What to do with visitors? Have a greeter at the door and welcome them. Right now we have a greeter in Dallas. Joel is going to be in charge of that. I don't know if Joel's here. Where is Joel? Is he here? I don't see him today. He's teaching class. So we'll have a greeter at the door. We'll be working this will kind of go hand in hand with Joel's area of greeting. So we'll be in touch with him on that, get things flowing. Let them sit down quickly. Have an assigned visitor team talk with them. So the visitors team, this is for those who will be on the team, 3 or 4 couples. We'll be talking to them. Let them sit down quickly. Nothing, they don't like to be standing out. How many of us gone somewhere to another congregation and you know you're the visitor because everybody's looking at you and staring at you? Oh, somebody new in here. It's happened to us all, right? Now, to me, personally, that doesn't bother me. For some people, it does. They just, you're sticking out like a sore thumb. Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes at the very back, there is no room for visitors to sit down. They have to parade up. through, and I think that's a little uncomfortable, so I don't know, dictate an area for new people.
For visitors.
Or, I don't know.
You know, and that did cross my mind as well. It's just the whole layout, the setup here for us is so tough sometimes. So I guess, Travis and Lee and all you're gonna have to give up your seats, man. You're gonna have to come up, you have to sit right here now.
We can turn the chairs around.
Turn around and face them, there you go. Can we do that? Are you guys all right with that? We can face you guys, okay.
Just tag on to what Deb said, we come in and we sit down, so there's like pillows and Bibles and other stuff left behind, and we sit in somebody's assigned seat, and so it's very uncomfortable. It's a thing that I've had people come in and look at me and, I'm a visitor, and they want me to get up and move, so you move someplace else and you sit in somebody else's assigned seat with their stuff. And I've actually been in a place and I've moved
Sure.
multiple times, and so it's like, okay, I'm not sure if I really want to come back here anymore, if I can't
Just sit down, yeah.
sit and not offend somebody, so.
Sure. So, and that's one thing that we all have to be flexible on with our visitors. They're visitors. If they come in and they sit down at your spot, hey, don't worry about it. I'll grab my stuff. I'll move over here. Let's be very flexible with them as well. So, yeah. Any other comments? Somebody gonna, yes,
Well, I think it's also helpful to help them find a seat,
yes,
because you can immediately scope out whether there's 2 here or 3 there or whatever.
Yeah.
And point it out to them, and then if there's somebody sitting in that row, introduce them to them,
yeah,
so that they've got at least a connection.
And I can assume you
yeah.
invited us to sit right next to you.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that in just a second, because he threw something in there that I might agree with, but I don't know if I really agree with, but we'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, what you just said. So, but yeah, we gotta be flexible with them. And at the same time, we don't wanna drag them all the way down here and put them in the front, because that's embarrassing for them as well. I wouldn't probably, and I'm pretty outgoing, and I don't think I'd want that to happen to me as well, so. But there are times that when this gets packed in here, and it's hard to get them in here and get seated down. Now, that's one thing that we're gonna have to discuss with the greeting team, to get them in here and get them seated. Not necessarily, I mean, if they wanna stand up and visit with people, that's one thing. Nope, you need to get in here and sit down. We don't wanna do that either, but we wanna get them in so they're not standing out there. Okay. So, get them seated quickly, have an assigned visitor team talk to them. The visitors team, again, I'm gonna be lining that up. We want to fill out their visitors card. We'll be the ones to fill that out, who's ever on that team. Because again, they probably won't fill it out. they're more than likely won't fill it out, so we can just quickly put down all their information and have that filled out to them, okay? Find out what we're gonna do on that team is to find out if there are any triggering events, things to pray for in their lives. That's what we want to kind of find out. Obviously, we gotta have tact in how we're gonna do that and how we can handle that. But we want to find that out. Now, here's going back to what Lisa said. He said this, sit in front of them or behind visitors. Do not sit beside them. Why he says that, the only thing I can think of is this, is that they feel like you're hovering over them or maybe trapping them in. Now, keep this in mind. For you guys, I mean, you're part of the church. You're already members of the church. So somebody who is from the outside coming in may not like that. I personally, I kind of enjoy sitting next to somebody, but maybe it feels like, and so that's open for discussion. We can talk about that, and maybe you have some different ideas. Lynn.
I was just gonna say, I think there's a world of difference between what Mitch and them said and what Rob was saying, which is one is offering, if they want, they can feel free to join you. And the other is saying you sit down next to them. That's actually completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Because one is kind of letting them have their own choice of where they want to sit, and the other is offering that if they don't want to sit alone, that there's always a seat next to you. So I think there's a difference in that. And I don't think he's disagreeing necessarily, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't say you can't invite them to come sit with you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
He's just saying, don't everyone crowd around them, because they may be picking a seat that kind of puts them at a distance from other people. Which in this congregation, I think the point doesn't matter because they're gonna be next to somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? All right, as we get all this information, we want to send a card. We got the card team working on that. First-time visitors, what we want to do is there'll be people on the visitor bag team, give them a gift bag. They'll have all that ready and we can give them a gift bag. I think those are really cool. When we were in Nashville a couple months ago, that same congregation that was so friendly and outgoing, they did give us a visitor's bag. All of us got one. We thought it was cool. Open it up. We had lifesavers in there. We had all kinds of cool stuff that when we were out there, we munched on and had the whole time we were there. But we thought it was really neat that they did that, and it gave us a good feeling like they really cared for us as well. So I think the gift bag thing is a great idea. Invite them to lunch. Now, first thing that comes to our mind is what? Lunch. We got to go to lunch. Inflation, right? Everything's expensive right now. The other night we ate out, and I could not believe the price of food right now. I mean, you guys all know that, especially with families. But one thing that we have decided that we would help offset the cost, the church would help offset the cost if you guys take a visitor to lunch that's come in. So we would do that to help offset that. So. And I don't know what the exact decision was on that, how much or whatever it was. Just a reimbursement of,
Just a reimbursement
yeah.
of whatever you spent.
Whatever you spent. Now, is that for the, just the visitors?
That's just for visitors.
Yeah, so you have to pay for your own, correct?
Oh, well, I don't know about that.
Did we even discuss that?
I don't think we. I think you're reimbursed for all of it. Yeah, I think.
Okay, so you'd be reimbursed for all of it.
Reimbursed for all of it.
Yeah, and you don't have to be. If you want to cover it, that's up to you. But anyhow, that's where we're at. So if you do take a visitor out, keep the receipt, get it to, is it Travis? No, you, Rick? Get it to Rick, and then he will work that out with Travis, so. And Travis did not fall out of his chair when I said that. Yep. So Nick just brought this up. It needs to be visitors that are potential prospects. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can't take your family out. Hey, come on down. We got a free meal. No, you can't do that. I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. All right. What to say to visitors? Are you visiting from a local community? Question. Find something in common with them. connect and build relationships. One thing in business, I found out that if you can connect with somebody or build a relationship, you've got them for a lifetime. And you can, there's ways to find connections, especially if you find out, hey, I live over in this, oh, I know so-and-so that lives over there, and you find out that you guys know the same people, you got a connection. And it's all about that in a lot of, especially in business, but it works here as well, having those connections, so, yep. Oh, somebody's coughing. I thought she was about to say something. Okay. If the opportunity presents itself, only let the visitation team ask the following. So those who are on this visitation team that are going to be part of this, ask the following. You don't have to ask them in this exact way, but he did throw some questions out for us to ask. What do you know about the Church of Christ? What do you know about the Windsor Church of Christ? Do you know a lot about the Windsor Church of Christ? Would you like to know more about the Windsor Church of Christ? And obviously, if they say yes, we'd like to know more about you guys. And then obviously, is there a time that we can meet? Not saying you have to ask it that way, but if the opportunity presents itself, then we want to ask them. That's on the visitation team. Because again, we're wanting to set up a study. That's the goal, to set up a Bible study. Our visitors are contacts for evangelism. If they are not already a member of the church, find out if they're going through a triggering event so we can start the prospecting stage. They must be local to prospect them. It doesn't work if they live in probably Colorado Springs, but we want to be able to prospect them or even be able to go knock on their door. And we have a team that will be dedicated for that as well, correct? Sorry, I keep looking over here at you guys. So that will be taken care of by the door knocking team. All right. So right now, I want you guys to pull out, what do I do with that? That visitor card you got in front of you, and I think it's on the screen, and I can't even find my own. You got an extra there? Thank you. I had it up here somewhere. So pull out your card, just take a quick peek at it here. So you can see the progression here. Visitors come, and we greet them and identify them. It's pretty obvious. There were many visitors to Jesus. In Mark 5:27, we read how a woman was visiting Jesus and she was seeking help for an ailment that she had. When we read in verse 30, Jesus identified her. You remember, he said, "Who touched my clothes?" We see in the next progression of a gift. Jesus gave her a gift of healing, leading her to being receptive to another message. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace, is what he says, verse 34. Our efforts to show our love will open the hearts or open doors to Bible studies. Again, I want to read that one more time. Our efforts to show our love will open doors to Bible studies. We have to earn the right to have a Bible study. Asking usually doesn't work. Rob mentioned that when he was here. Just asking usually does not work. We earn the right by asking, would you like to know more about the Church of Christ? Yes, ma'am.
What, like, I'm thinking of the distance for Bible study. Nick lives up Red Feather, we live in Fort Collins, there's Greeley, there's Loveland, and Windsor. Are you gonna divide up in teams that are gonna go to the distance?
Now, who is on the Bible? It's Randy, isn't it? Bible studies, and Bill, right? You on that? In that? For some reason, I got your name on there. I have your name on there, but I do have Randy for Bible studies. Correct? I think what we'll have to do is probably have Randy or whoever's on that decide on distances and how they're going to structure that. Correct? And how far travel distance and all that good stuff. But yes, you're right. I mean, Nick lives about an hour away, and we have others that live quite a ways away too. But I think that we can make that all, we'll make it work. We have to make it work. There's just no doubt. Holly.
Thinking about that too, like I live in Loveland, so if my contacts are in Loveland, people that I would talk to, I mean, I guess we all need to be willing to give rides to church in addition to Bible studies.
Yeah. Did you guys catch that? You willing to help transport for Bible studies and church and whatnot, so, okay. We need somebody to start the bus ministry, right?
If you, on those surveys that we passed out, if you have signed up for one of those things, Bible studies or transportation, the coordinator for that group will be calling you and coordinating that with you. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of rotation or based on where your location is. We're going to make it make sense.
Okay, did you guys get that? Okay. Okay, so the card here, as you look at the card here, further explains what we've already been trained on here. We are turning the contact here into a prospect when we show love for them. It is a biblical model, that Jesus has shown us many times. The other side of the training card, if you flip this over, you have that in front of you, has a list of items for the visitor bags. I'll be contacting you guys, whoever signed up for that soon, to be lining that up. We'll probably have to put somebody kind of in charge of that as well. Make sure that, a couple people, make sure those are always ready to go and filled up and ready to hand out on Sundays. Again, I counted 24 people signed up for that. I had a good sign up for that, but we probably won't need that many. So, but there's plenty of areas to work. Plenty of areas to work. Yes, sir.
Question on that. It says investigation local or temporary on the gift bag. Does that mean, like, if they're just asking for a church, won't get a visitor bag, or is it for?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they're just passing through, probably won't do that. But for the local ones that are local, will want to. Because again, what's the goal here? If they're passing through, we won't be able to have a Bible study. Our goal is to have studies with these and convert. That's the goal.
But you mentioned that you guys were just passing through,
Yeah.
essentially. I mean, I know Keon
Yeah.
is there, but
Mhm.
that meant something to you.
Yeah.
And so,
It
like,
did mean a lot to
we
us.
shouldn't just evangelize to people that are just just here. We need to make sure that we're evangelizing and showing Christ's love to everybody.
Yep.
So, like,
Yep, and I would agree. I agree with that. Mhm.
I mean, the gift
And that's
bags
something that
aren't
we
a
can
large
discuss,
cost.
and that's definitely something that, one second, guys, I see you back there. That's something we can discuss too, and I gotta quickly wrap up, but yeah, we can figure that out, however we wanna do that. But yeah, you're right, I mean, it did mean a lot to us too, so. Lynn was one, I know that.
I was just gonna say that I think that is a good point. I think there's a difference. I think there's a way to meet both of those because it's not always, we're not a large enough congregation that we can give, these things out all the time. If we could, I think we would. But to her point, what did you get in that little gift basket? You mentioned the things you remember with lifesavers. Like, I think any visitor could get something small,
Yeah.
something, even if they're passing through, we could make that and it wouldn't break bank or anything and still show a kindness that we appreciate their visit. But the people who are more prospects get the bigger gift baskets. They're not gonna know the difference between.
And that's something we can do, we can scale it down a little bit for our pastors, yeah. Okay, anybody else? Okay. So yes, I'll be contacting you guys, I had to see where I left off here. I'll be contacting you guys, whoever signed up on that, we'll be lining that all up as well. So the question, or the last comment here I wanted to make is, if you have not been showing hospitality, warmth, and love to our visitors, regardless of stature, remember the scripture we read in the beginning, then now is the time to change that. And this is what we want. It doesn't matter who they are, we want to have a study with them. Is there any other comments before we close? Come on in. I'm going to say a prayer, and then we're going to get going. Our Father in heaven, thank you for today. Father, help us to focus on this, the evangelism efforts that we're having here in Windsor. Help us, Father, to be hospitable, concerned, and caring for our visitors. Father, we pray for the opportunity of Bible studies, for conversions, that we may add souls to your church, Father. We thank you so much for all that you do for us, as we're truly blessed as a church here in Windsor. We love you and we thank you for all that you do. It's in